Where do you go when you die? Well, today I'm going to a funeral of someone who I really don't know if they were a believer or not. But many people think, well, it's sudden death and sudden glory. You die and then you pop up in heaven, which is completely unbiblical, not true at all, and really irritating to hear. But that also means that if you're not a Christian, then you die and you pop into hell and everything starts. Of course, all of this skips over the fact that you still have to go through the resurrection and the judgment and all of that. Anyway, please see my videos about hell on how I think about that. It's got its own playlist. I think it's called Eternal Conscious Punishment, which is also not biblical at all. But where do you go? I mean, do you go to heaven? Is there, some people say, well, you're a sort of glowing orb in heaven and you just sit there and you glow. The Muslims say, well, bad people go to sleep someplace and then they have a fitful sleep, and good people go to sleep and they have a lovely sleep. And then they're awakened in heaven or hell. It's okay. So why wouldn't you just, go to heaven? Well, no one's been to heaven. That's why it says there's only one person that's been in heaven, and that's the one that came down from heaven, which was Jesus Christ. Now, we have had people that saw visions of heaven, like John when he wrote Revelation, but that's just a vision. And you say, well, what about Elijah, and some of these people who, supposedly were, caught up in and went directly to heaven without ever seeing death. Well, I have a couple of sermons about that. And if you read it very carefully, they didn't go into heaven like we would think go into heaven. They were caught up into the heavens, but they died like everybody else. And you can read that back in Hebrews. So there's no idea in the Bible that you will go bloop into heaven, or that you'll go blap into hell. So where will you go when you're waiting for the resurrection? We all have to be resurrected, and then, we will be judged, and those whose name is not written in the book of life will be sent off to the lake of fire. Will be sent off to, they'll be in hell and death, and they'll go into the lake of fire, and that's the second death, and then that's done for them. So yes, I'm an annihilationist. They will not have eternal conscious punishment. Doesn't make any sense. It's not in the Bible, so we can just forget that. But I still haven't answered where you go. And I think the clearest answer is in Job. Let's take a read of that. So Job, chapter 14, verses 13 to 15. If only you would hide me in the grave. This is Sheol, yeah? If only you would hide me in the grave. So I think you will be hidden, and you won't be in a place, but you'll be hidden. And conceal me till your anger has passed. Okay, so you're concealed. If only you would set me a time and then remember me. So I think in the past I've described this as, your identity is protected. God knows you. And I would say that's what's happening here. We are remembered by God. We don't have this existence because we're not spiritual beings. Remember, we need a body to exist. We will be remembered by God. Verse 14, if someone dies, will they live again? All the days of my hard service, I will wait for my renewal to come. Well, if he just, dies and pops up in heaven, he doesn't have to wait for his renewal to come, does he? So there's this time where he isn't. He is in death and needs to be remembered by God. And when he is remembered by God, in verse 15, he says, you will call and I will answer you. You will long for the creature your hands have made. This is the NIV translation. So very consistent with the Old Testament. When you die, there's no knowledge, there's no emotion. You die like a sheep, it says in the Psalms. There's nothing there. The lights go out and you're gone. Now, you could say, well, yeah, Peter, but then you're called out. And so, as far as you know, it's sudden death, sudden glory. You die and then, you're called out. Yeah, because you have no idea of time. Well, that could be true. That could very well be true. But I want to have an idea of what happens with death that is consistent with the Bible. And that is that you go into death. You don't know anything, but God remembers you. And he will call out to you and you will respond to him. And then there will be this resurrection. Maybe that's sort of simultaneous. There's the resurrection, and you have a new body. What kind of new body? A new body like his body. And if you read about the new body that Jesus got, it did some pretty remarkable things. So you're kept safe in the memory of God, if you will. Your identity is safe after you die, and God will call you out of death. Until next time, God bless.